But restoring price stability when inflation is high can require measures that are not popular in the short term as we raise interest rates.
Hello, welcome to Financial Stockholm. Today is Wednesday, February 1st, 2023, and I'm Christopher Crystal, and these are the views that we see in Sweden concerning the market or what could affect the market. And really the Swedish markets are, they continue to be or continue to hold and focus what the United States is going to do. So they're waiting and watching the Fed. And then based on that, and then of course the ECB and other central banks, what they're doing will influence the Swedish market. But the Fed is of course the most, and I think the correlation there between the U.S. NASDAQ and the Swedish market is very strong. So that would be something to look for. But the expectations are for a 25 basis point hike that'll come tonight in Sweden, or at 2:15 in the U.S. on the East Coast. And with a 25 basis point, I think you get to see the direction of the market for the next for the rest of the quarter. And as long as you see the inflation trend coming down and moving closer to the 3% or 2% targets, those will be the key points. In terms of the earnings overall, you know, energy companies have been doing very well. So fundamentally, they're looking strong. The tech companies, of course, they're not looking so good, and but this is really not a reality-based market rally. This is more perception-based, and so if you look at the energy companies and then you look at the tech companies and the rise that they've had since November, you're getting some very similar trends or strength in their share prices. But the issue here is what happens to the economy. And so looking at companies like British Petroleum, they've said that they're going to reduce their focus on renewables. So previously they'd been investing a lot in wind turbines and solar and so forth. And I think what this means is that there's kind of a rebasing and a foundation kind of outlook to say, hey, we've actually got to make money here. And although wind turbines are great, the amount of digitalization needed and the programming needed, the hardware maintenance needed on these projects is really much higher than we anticipated. And then, of course, there is a certain amount of environmental destruction, and you're trying to help the environment. It's kind of negative there as well. So they're going to pull back away from the wind turbines and focus on oil. And what I think this, if you want an economist who would talk about this, you should look at somebody like Bjorn Lomborg and or Vivek Ramaswamy to understand how you can do implementation, but not at the pace that will destroy your economy. So you'll see a pullback on the construction from BP, but you will also see that some of the offshore wind turbine projects may not go forward. And I think that's a real positive, because right now in the United States, there's a lot of wind projects that they're doing a lot of mapping. And as a result, on the East Coast in the United States, which is where they're planning on building up these offshore wind turbines, they've had a number of whales washing up on the shores. And so you had a humpback whale wash up just the other day, relatively large size. And this is kind of odd, because in New York, when I grew up as a kid, you would see a whale occasionally coming up the Hudson River, and usually those whales were sick. But now, over this past year, you've seen a return of dolphins. You had some dolphins in the East River, you had some dolphins moving up the Hudson River and then moving back out to sea. You've had a number of the fish species returning. You've had a number of the mussels returning. So environmentally, the New York Bay Area has actually improved significantly. So when you see the whales washing up on the shores, you have to wonder why. And it's not just one species of whale, it's several different species. And the immediate speculation is that this is tied to the wind turbines and the build out in the offshore. So when BP is saying that they're going to cut back, good. And I think it's a positive, because we could see the economies growing again at a healthy rate. So we'll keep an eye open and watch because, in Belgium, they were going to shut down 2 reactors. They're only shutting down 1. And this is pure insanity when we're going through these dramatic high prices and stifling of our economies. So Europe's going to grow at a very slow rate. And if you look at what India is going to grow at, it's going to grow at nearly 6%. China is going to grow at around 5.3%. And we're looking at, rates of around 1.5% growth in Europe, and that's tied to our energy. And if you look at the energy build out, what they're doing in terms of, yes, coal plants, but hey, look at Germany, they're burning coal, and they're building out nuclear, and Germany is not turning on their nuclear path. Denmark doesn't want to, and Germany doesn't want us to. But we understand the value of having a strong. I think this is good. It's a positive for us in the market. Hopefully, the rest of Europe will catch on with this kind of violent expression when he was younger and going around headbutting people. But we'll see how that plays out. The Social Democrats, they've had their they have some gangland ties apparently, and we've had this spate of gang violence here in Sweden. Is really really very dangerous. And then of course we have our Sverigedemokraterna and their ties to neo-Nazis. So we have our problems with our politics, and our NATO application is delayed as a result of our holding to free speech or freedom of expression, and Turkey not liking that because we allowed somebody to burn a Koran. So our prime minister addressed yesterday what is the state of Swedish security? Are we at risk for terrorism? Do we need to be worried? And overall, I don't think we'll see anything in terms of real terrorism. We have a very strong secret police force called SAPO. And I think more the question is, do we join NATO after midsummer, which is at the middle end of June? And that'll be the real question. But I think, the market's really trading on perception rather than fundamentals. Technology continues to lay off. And remember, in the US, they were saying they wanted to see something like 250,000 people being laid off. And in technology, you've nearly had 100,000. And then you have other industries laying off, the financial as well as the others. And in the UK, you see people on hiring freezes or banks on hiring freezes. So it's a very tough market right now. And now that you have all these factors in place, what they were saying that they wanted, this is going to make these Keynesian economists very happy. And I think you'll see the markets trading up. This is my personal belief, not a recommendation for how you should act in the market. But I think this will be the trend until April at least, end of April, and possibly all the way through till June. And then you have to see how the inflation trends have been going, and we'll get a better view in June on what's happening there. But so the rate hikes will continue to go at a slower pace than what we saw last year, and hopefully the inflation trend is lower. So with that, I will say I hope you're subscribed, and we'll look forward to seeing you again. You can always make money in the market if you need to trade, or if you need to be long term. These are options that you can use to make money in the market, and you should always speak to your advisor for the strategy that works for you, and develop with your risk tolerance. So with that, we'll wish you a great day, and we'll look forward to seeing you again. Thank you. Bye.